working class people. This is worker power.
This government is on a mission. It's on a mission to transfer wealth from working people to the rich.
200,000 applicants won't get a university place.
They talk about a feral underclass. Well, I tell you what, there's a feral overclass.
We have to say, the rank and file of our unions, the people in the communities, we're not letting you get away with it. And I can tell you, because PCS was prepared to stand outside to make a principled argument. The composite in front of the Congress said all cuts should be opposed. And that's the way
and I'm the elected president of PCS, and I'm extremely pleased to have been asked to, on behalf of the National Shop Stewards Network, to chair this rally and march that's been called by the NSSN on the eve of the 2011 TUC Congress.
Thanks to the NSSN for organising this tremendous turnout. It shows, doesn't it, that the decision taken by the Democratic Conference of Shop Stewards organised by the NSSN last year to campaign against the cuts was the right decision.
Can I first of all congratulate the organisers in the NSSN for putting on this magnificent rally and the march and putting pressure on the TUC. Because we're going to spend the next 3 days in the TUC Congress discussing composite resolutions. Probably most of them will be agreed unanimously, but we all know in this room the key is turning the resolutions into action. And in that sense, I think your meeting here at the defining moment for all of us in the trade union movement over the past period. We have to understand that if the stakes are this high, the other side will do everything they can to weaken us. They will seek to divide us. They will seek to make deals in some areas, divide black from white, workers from people unemployed, students from pensioners. We have to say we're not going to let them get away with it. We've also got to be prepared for the final fancy footwork. One trade union leader I won't mention, you have to give him credit, came out with a blind eye. Being pressured to call a one-day strike in his union, said, and I quote, "People say to me, name the day, and I say, a day will not be enough." Well, when that was said to me, my reply was, well, a day will be a good bloody start. So let's get on with it.
We should never forget, though, who caused this crisis in the first place. It wasn't because too many firefighters put too many fires or nurses treated too many patients, but because the fat cat bankers took this country and the rest of the world to the verge of bankruptcy in 2008. The banks were taken over to save them, but because we only nationalised the debts, the fat cats have stayed in control and kept their bonuses, but we, working class people, are expected to pay the price. Everything the working class people take for granted and hold dear is now on the line. The NHS, education, public services and the welfare state. Billions cut from council budgets. Let's demand today that every Labour council in Britain reverses the cuts that they have been.
This is the most important day of the year, probably more important than the 26th of March, to be honest with you, because we've got to get the TUC to get off the backside and do something.
Ford Company, Virgin Airways, among others, are queuing up to come in and build factories in our prisons and pay £10, £9 a week for labour. That's their next great breeze.
It's extremely important that we don't simply allow ourselves to be turned into a vehicle for a call for a public sector, for defence of public sector workers public sector pensions, public sector investment. The crisis that is afflicting the working class in this country and right around the world is a crisis that doesn't stop at the public sector, and that's obvious to everyone who looks at it.
A group of electricians based around London, and it's now spreading throughout the country, have taken unofficial action on their own. They've decided to try and do something about this. They are now rallying support around building sites in London and elsewhere in the country, and that has culminated in some points around major contracts, major building sites in London, including the Shard, Westfield Shopping Centre and Balfour Beatty's railway stations at Blackfriars. On Wednesday, 7 o'clock, there will be a major, hopefully it will be a major stoppage of work at the Olympic Games. Now, I'm going to repeat that. There is a major, potentially a major stoppage of work at the Olympic Games, unofficial action, unofficially, by rank and file members.
What we've done is, through the organising strategy teams, we've put loads of leaflets around the plant. We are recruiting well. The union give out 1,600 bracelets for fair day's pay, for a fair day's work. The workers actually have caught, they're all wearing them, it's unbelievable. These orange luminous bands in the production line. The workers are calling it paddy power. I don't know if anybody's seen. I don't actually see it like that. I feel a little bit embarrassed about that. I don't see it as paddy power at all. I see it as a collective action of working class people. This is workers' power. It's not paddy power. I'm just a separate.
Change in a year. What's changed in a year is that capital's in a bigger crisis than what it was even 12 months ago. What we're seeing, not just in this country by the condemned government, but by the same policies that have been articulated in opposition by Labour and also by other countries around, not just the European Union, but throughout the world, basically sums up what Berlusconi said this week when the general strike took place in Italy. In his words, not mine, I'm in the shit. And there's only one solution, and that's a socialist order society. What is wrong with us saying that if new technology comes in, we don't oppose it, we use the rewards of that new technology for people to retire earlier, to have a 4-day, 32-hour week, and to have longer holidays and a shorter working time at work. Under capital, they're usually like lemons. Squeeze the juice out of you when they want you, and toss you to one side when they don't. But the bottom line is that we want key industries brought back into public ownership. One of the General Council members, an executive committee member, turned around and said, I hope when Bob Crow moves his resolution or his union, it doesn't mean that we're going to bring the energy industries back into public ownership. How on earth would we bring EDF, Energy de France, back into public ownership? Look at the compensation we'll have to pay. Well, I'll put the point to the General Council on Thursday. Is I want to make it absolutely clear, because we don't do underhand, when we move a resolution, we want people to know exactly, with our cards on the table, what we stand for. We mean all industries are taken back under public ownership. As simple as that.
Introduce to you the Deputy General Secretary of the TUC, Francis O'Grady, who's kindly agreed to accept Rob's letter on behalf of all of you and the petition I mentioned earlier. Please give a warm welcome to Francis O'Grady.
Thanks very much, Dave. Very pleased on behalf of the TUC General Council to accept your letter, accept the petition. Also pleased to thank every single one of you who is a workplace shop steward here today for the work that you do day in, day out, giving a voice to workers, representing workers, and most important of all, now more than ever, organising workers.
make a decision at the Congress this week to go for a mass one-day strike for starters and a powerful action that will bring everybody out together. And just imagine, it would give these well-heeled government ministers and their complacent, greedy boss friends who think they've got away with it so far. It would make them think again. It could drive a wedge into this millionaire coalition. We could even defeat and bring down this coalition. And we could go on to challenge the bosses who rule in their own naked self-interest.
Next month, it's the 75th anniversary of the Jarrow March, when 200 men were forced to march 330 miles in the face of 90% unemployment in their area. We at Youth Fight for Jobs are recreating that march from the 1st of October against the conditions faced by young people, but also to defend the 75 years worth of gains that have been made by working people since that march took place.
So members see this terrible attack on our pensions as an opportunity for everybody to get together, to strike together, and for the public sector to fight back. Our branch particularly, and we're urging everybody else, has written to Dave Prentice, urging him to hold his nerve, to work together and to coordinate industrial action with all the other public sector unions.
When the leader of the Labour Party sides with big business, the Tories and the Lib Dems, and condemns those people who went on strike on the 30th of June, it is an absolute disgrace, and we should condemn it.
The capitalists that are going around the world today aren't too interested in the regime changes where they want to make them. And what I say is we should start making regime changes. Whether that regime changes with politicians, the regime changes with employers, or it's a regime change of trade union leaders. Anybody who impedes the advancement of working people must be removed.
We also agreed to consider plans for subsequent action, and certainly I'll be arguing that one thing we need to consider, if they don't give in on one day, is that we call 48-hour strike action if necessary. So let's fly those flags from June the 30th, let's unfurl the banners, plan together for local joint rallies, levies and collections, leaflets and stalls, but above all, let's plan together and let's make sure the TUC Congress plans together for united strike action, and let's not step back until we have won.
Minute after minute, second after second.